Hello, members and friends. We're going to call this series, I don't know, Mama Lynn's Cooking Kitchen or something. I don't know. I'll put a title onto this. It's gonna relate to the cost of food and how it's increasing year after year since, oh God, you know, I can go back to 2003, 2002, right? And like every year, it's just getting more and more out of control. This is beef that I bought for $2.98 a pound. It's just simple, you know, round. I have round, and you can see the prices that I'm paying for these. Okay, right, and then I got two more in my freezer. And what I'm doing right now, sorry for moving around, I'm chopping them up. I have to take off the fat because I got to use a different grinder for that, right? And what I'm doing is I'm making my own hamburger because I don't buy hamburger. I make my own now, right? Because of the stuff that they put into it. That's the one that we have to use for the fat because it won't go through the little one, right? But you know, with the cost of food going up, I really want to point this out because I don't know how poor people are making it. You know, I have a household of a lot of people here, so everybody kind of contributes, and they leave the burden on me to go, you know, basically buy food. And because I'm always out and about, you know, I can find the better deals. I've got some chicken in the fridge that, you know, I'll show you later, right? And this is the only way that people are going to be able to afford to eat in the future is if you start buying your food on sale and either dehydrating, freezing, you know, processing it yourself, canning. I'm going to be getting into a little bit of canning here. But for now, we'll be back. Hold on. Alrighty-o, so we're just going to do this on the fly, right? This is the machine I'm using. It's some old school from the 1950s. I love it. It works really, really good. So, as you can see, I'm just flying through this stuff here. I did the fat with the small holes, and I guess because it's beef, it went through really, really nice. And then I'm just going to mix it in, right? You can see the difference here. This one here has no fat, or very little. And then I just put the fat there that I just did, right? And I'm going to mix it all up. So, anyway, we'll be back. My little grandson wants to say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Say hello. Okay, so I did 3 bags. It works out to about $48.50. So that's $16.31 and $17.50. Works about $48.50, right? Hold on. And that's what I got for 48 bucks. That's pure beef. And I mixed in that little bit of fat that it was there. And now I'm going to ziplock them, you know, like the food saver seals, right? And I'm going to make some patties here. So we'll be back. Alrighty-o. So there you go. They're all vacuum pack sealed. You can see that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice little size. Yeah, I'll just put it right there. See? And then I have these ones here, little left over, right? It's like what I use 3/4 of the roasting pan for those ones. I gotta move slow. I have a cold too, so anyway. And then what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna spice this up, put some garlic in there and all that other stuff and some spices. And I'm gonna put these in here. There's about 16 of these little things, and that makes little patties, right? So it's easy for the kids to fry, or myself, but mostly just for kids when they want to have a sandwich or something fast. So we'll be back. Okay, so here's the garlic. This is sea salt. I got 2 different kinds. Not this one today. I didn't grind up this one here, but I have this one here, which is really nice. And then this is the one from Himalaya salt, right, from the mountain up in there. And this is I can't remember where it's from, but it's get it from the health food store. Some ground up pepper. This is white pepper. And so I've got about a little over 2 teaspoons of salt. This is a little bit of seasoning, just like a vegetable seasoning. Here's some tofu. Here's some flour and the garlic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it all up in here. So be back. Okay, so as you can see, I just kind of sprinkled it. Yeah, I just sprinkled everything in there. Now I'm just going to mix it all up. I have some old breadcrumbs. I might just throw them in there as well because they'll absorb, you know, the moisture as it's cooking, whatever. But anyway, you just mix it all up. This is how I'm going to make my patties this time around. All right? And if they always need more seasoning, they can season it for themselves after the fact. We'll just throw their flour in there because the flour will help to hold it together, right? Okay, be right back. Okay, so not quite done yet. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2 is 16 patties. And you've seen what I did with that, right? So they'll fry up nice. And then we still got this one piece of meat yet to go. This is the little bigger one. This one I'm going to slice thin because I got a really sharp knife I found in the house here. So I'm going to do something for this differently. And then, of course, we've got our 5. They're about 2 pounds each, right? I'd say about 2 pounds each of nice hamburger meat. And I've got yet still 2 more of these whole in the freezer, which I will show you after the fact. And then after I've done this one, we're going on to 3 trays of chicken legs. So we'll be back. And then I'm going to tally up the total of everything that I paid, and we're going to kind of guesstimate how many meals we get out of it, just to see, you know, where we're going with trying to save money by doing it this way, for a larger family at least, eh? We'll be back. Okay, so the last piece of meat, what I've done is I've just basically sliced it really, really thin. You can see how thin that is, right? Very thin. And I'm going to, there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I'm going to just vacuum pack up those. And then we're going to move real slow. And then this is going to be for like a soup, miso soup, or wonton soup, or vegetable soup, or something, you know. So I'm going to wrap these up individually. And then I'm just going to put them in a bag. It's already pre-cut. And then what little left over is just enough there for, you know, one stew, right? So we'll be back. Oh yeah, check this out. Oh, look at my grandson. He's in his glory. He really likes trucks. He's overtaking my little living space here, part of my garage. I live in a garage, remember? He's got toys all over the place. You know, he's got his little blocks over there. But he just got this today. Somebody just came by and gave him that today. Look at that. Aren't you happy? He loves cars. And that's not all, but he's also got a big bucket full of stuff here too. And I've got a lot of those Dupo blocks as well. So we'll be back. Okay, so there's dinners. Right, those are those. I pre-wrapped them in little bits of plastic and then just put them in a bag. So if I'm making a soup or something and I just want, you know, a couple slices of meat, it's right there. These are for sandwiches at some point. Right, they're done. And then over there I've got that little bit of beef that I think I'm going to grind up and make supper after I'm done. But I still got to do some chicken here. So before I do that, I'm going to do chicken because I got an old shallot here I want to use up, and there's an old tomato kicking around. So anyway, we'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I have 2 more, right? Because it was $2.98 a pound, so that's pretty good deal. Well, they do it by, you know, kilograms or whatever it is, but even still. So there's the hamburger. It's already starting to freeze. There's the patties. There's the ones for sandwiches. There's the one for soup. And then these bigger ones, you know, I will take them out maybe one day. You know, I'll put one in a rotisserie and cut it in half, and maybe I'll make some beef jerky or something. But in the meantime, I still got some chicken to do. I got lucky with some chicken wings there. They were like $34, $35, $36 a box. I got them for $16 a box. So, you know, I saved myself quite a bit of money there. Almost $20, so it was $60 saved there. Anyway, we'll be back. Say, I'm happy.
Huh?
Say happy.
Happy.
Happy? Are you happy?
Happy.
Happy?
Happy.
Happy. Are you happy? Yeah. Okay, members and friends, I'm just going to leave this like this because I'm sitting up here talking to my dad about food and stuff. I'm having a tea now before I do the chicken. Okay, I just kind of put it right there because I'm going to bring the chicken in here. And, you know, it's like, you know, I'm talking about, you know, a level of poverty. That's what Marex does, right? You know, I work on a non-profit, and it doesn't really seem to mean anything, right? I don't know how a person can do something for so long and never really seem to get anything out of it, but yet be so obligated to continue working on it because you're dealing with the federal government and that kind of stuff. Not only in one country, but in 2 countries, right? So anyway, you know, cost of food here, like it's just getting ridiculous. I don't know how poor people are doing it now. Like I juggle, I have credit cards, you know. I've been a parent for a long time. I have people questioning my ability to, you know, run a household, you know, raise my grandchild. You know, putting my life on hold because, you know, they got a point to prove, but I don't see these people in the house doing anything that I'm doing. You know, they sure in hell haven't been there from day one. But let's take it outside of the box. Let's talk about people that are basically on welfare, have no support system, and they're living in these little apartments with a minimal amount of income. Right? I think I have a cigarette somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, I do. Hold on. Yeah, I'm a smoker. What you gonna do about it? Anyway. So, you know, they're living in a minimal amount of income. What, 3 years ago, chicken was 89 cents a pound on sale. Right? 4 years ago, it was 69 cents a pound on sale. Normally, it's $1.89 on sale now, but I got lucky with my chicken legs for $1.48 a pound. And, you know, beef, once in a blue moon, you might find it for $1.89, $1.98 a pound. Now it's basically $2.98. That's the cheapest you can find it, right? And obviously you see what I did. I stockpiled on the stuff, right? Because, you know, I have a family, right? But for people that are on low income, and what happened was, you know, back in 2007, 2008, the BC Liberal government, I don't know if you can see me. I know you can see my cup. But back in 2007, 2008, the BC Liberal government, what they did is they released the rental freeze on the rental market. So what ended up happening is, in a minute, a lot of people, what happened was a lot of people got kicked out of their apartments because these property owners decided that, you know, for a quick fix to make more money, you know, something that was renting out at, you know, $700-800 a month, all they had to do was kick out the tenants, you know, go in there and change the carpet and put in new vinyl, which they probably mass buy and at a very cheap, and they put the cheapest of the cheap in, right? And then they try and rent the same apartment, and a lot of these apartments, and I've mentioned this before, you know, they're bug infested with either cockroaches or bed bugs. Sometimes they have mice, right? Or they have all three. And after they've changed the carpet and they've changed the vinyl, they try and rent the same apartment that, you know, maybe when you came in it was $800, but when they kicked you out and they did their 1 month renovation, they jacked it up to $1,100. People can't afford that anymore. So what's happening is families that lived in $800 apartments are being squeezed into 2 one-bedroom apartments. Because they can't afford the 3 bedrooms anymore because they're pushing up $1,100-1,200 just for a 3-bedroom apartment that not even 3 years ago was, you know, $750-800. And when you're on low income and your welfare check is $1,100 a month for X amount of kids, that doesn't leave you much for your hydro, for, you know, the clothes, their toys, their spending money, for food. And that's what we're talking about here is food. Because I know how hard it is for me, okay, and I'm thrifty. I've been a parent for a long time, and I've always been thrifty. And you know I stockpiled in a whole bunch of dehydrated stuff like last year, and I haven't got into that yet, and I'm still dehydrating, you know. And I got a deep freeze full of food downstairs, and I also got a deep freeze full of food in here, plus I'm filling up this one. Because I buy things on sale. This one I'm locking up, and I'm going to go and I'm going to recycle the stuff I have down there, and I'm going to start making some bread. And I'm going to start doing more videos about this stuff because, you know, people either need to be educated how to protect themselves from the politics that are out in our community that are trying to starve us, okay? Because there's going to be a day when I'll probably end up homeless in a box outside in the freaking streets, and nobody's going to care. They're just going to keep on fucking driving because that's the way we treat the poor. Right? Because I get it all the time. You know, I work on $1 billion nonprofit, and I get mistreated by my government on a provincial level all the time. In one way or another. You know, there's a little lull in there, you know, but sooner or later I get whacked, you know, get the shoe on, you know, and I'm not here to lie to you. I'm not here to gain anything. You know, I'm just telling it like it is. So when it comes to food, people are going to have to get thrifty. And, you know, if you can make your own hamburger, Go for the nutrition. Look for the sale. Buy yourself a new deep freeze if you have to. And get the meat on sale. Go to the thrift store. Get yourself an old meat grinder. Even if it came from the 1950s, I can guarantee you they work better than the ones that they're producing today, because they're coming from China and Japan and places like that where they're, they're building all these nuclear reactors so they can make all this fucking money, but they're selling us junk. So go back into the thrift store, look for something old, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. You're going to find really good products that probably came from the United States, and they're going to work good for you. And you buy that meat on sale, and you sacrifice. You don't pay a bill or whatever. You juggle your bills, and then you vacuum pack it just because it might stay a little fresher. It won't get so freezer burnt. Try it. And make your own hamburger. Get away from that pink slime that they put in it. Get away from these things that these manufacturers or whatever it is are putting in our food. You need to get back to the old school stuff, kind of like when I'm out in the dirt, make your own compost, right? Well, you need to make your own hamburger, and you need to do it on sale, and you need to stockpile it, because I can guarantee you in 6 months from now, and I've been watching it for years, trust me, I've been buying a lot of food. 5 kids, you buy a lot of freaking food, you go through a lot of food in 30 years, and I've seen a shift, a really bad shift. Ever since the BC Liberal government came into Parliament, right? And that was in 2003. It's been getting kind of crazy. But in the last 3-4 years, it's getting even worse. And I know we can say, oh, we're going to blame the United States of America, but it's not all about America, okay? This is about Canada here. And, and I really just don't know how these poor people are doing it. And this makes it easy for social services to go in and apprehend children, because not only can these parents not afford places to rent anymore because of what they did in 2008 when they, got rid of the rental cap, and then these crooked freaking property owners decided to, throw out people out. I got thrown out when they had the worst snowstorm in BC, Canada in 50 freaking years. And trust me, my car got me through, okay? I got us out, because if I wouldn't have got us out, they would have came in with the sheriff, wheeled around their $5,000, and threw my shit out in the freaking snow, and they wouldn't have batted an eye, because they knew that they could take my apartment and rent it for $300 and some odd more than what I was paying after they kicked me out. Also, I had issues with people who didn't like me working in there with the kids, because a lot of them those days were African kids, right? Well, the African families can't afford that place anymore. So from my understanding, a lot of them moved out already because they couldn't afford the rent. So, so you got families now moving into teeny-weeny little apartments with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments, and they just become easy prey for social services to go in there and say, well, you're not providing for your children. Just like they want to come in here and say, I'm not providing for my grandchild. They want him in daycare. Well, maybe I don't want him in full-time daycare. What? You can't say I can't provide food for him. I'm working on a room for him. They've never helped me, not even one freaking day since he's been born. They've been in my house 4 times because my daughter struggles with drug addiction. Is that my fault? No. No. Did I ask her to become a drug addict at 12 years old? No. Did I ask the cops to go in there and do something with the guy that was giving the kids drugs back in those days? Yes, I did. But did they do anything? No. But you know what? 12 years later, 14 years later, it's easy pickings. It's easy pickings for the government to come in and start, apprehending children, making threats, if you don't comply, if it's like freaking terrorism. It's freaking terrorism, and I'm here to tell you, I feel like my life is being terrorized, and I'm not a bad person. I work hard all the freaking time. I look after my family. I wash my floor on my hands and freaking knees, because I can't use a mop, because my landlady, before she rented out this place to me, turned around and brought in these stupid hardwood floors, because it's much cheaper to keep them on the freaking books than it is carpet. They don't require it to be changed as much. And some freaking tile that belongs in a foyer, not in the kitchen, and the only way I can keep my floors clean is by my hands and my knees. I have to wash I've been in this house for 3 years. You know how much floor square footage I've washed in the last umpteen years since I've been in this house? It's ridiculous. But you know what? People don't acknowledge that. So anyway, I'm going to turn this off and we're going to come back and do the chicken. Oops! I have a tea bag on my floor. I got some garbage on my floor. Anyway, how are poor people supposed to eat? Really? I'd like to know. At best, they get anywhere from $900 to $1,200 a month for 1 to 3 kids, 4 kids. Okay, this was $1.48 a pound on sale, as advertised, special. Okay, so I'm gonna do that chicken, just like I did that beef, right? And I'm gonna probably put this thing back on me and talk a little bit here because, you know, I'm tired of being criminalized for being fucking poor. And even when I do well, you know, and I maintain and I hold down the fort, right? I'm still being criticized with the garbage on my floor, you know, as if there is no such thing as called life.